I did that video, or it was a segment on one of the shows, previous 4K and Seg episode. And I talked about how I don't care, or no, let's backtrack. Remember when we talked about the whole gatekeeping thing and how my position kind of revised on that? Whereas I never was like anti gatekeeping per se. It just wasn't anything that I, as a tactic, took into consideration as something that was necessary. And then when you look at what's happened right now and in the state of a lot of these different, properties that a lot of us have grown up on, I think it's safe to say that the people that were saying we should have been gatekeeping were correct. It was a necessary thing. And when you actually sit back and analyze it, not from an emotional standpoint, but from a realistic standpoint, it makes all the sense in the world as to why that was an important thing that we should have been doing. And doing it like to the degree that if you were not interested in the art for the art or whatever that property was for the property, then you should be shunned out of it, right? It's one thing to embrace people that are genuinely curious and want in on it. It's another thing to allow people to come in and run that bad boy into the ground, which is what we saw. That's what we saw. We saw people come in that were not interested in any of this stuff, but they saw it as an opportunity, definitely as it crossed more into mainstream. They saw it as an opportunity to advance their own careers. They saw it as an opportunity to just really, to be completely honest, lecture people. It was less about what had exist prior to them and more about what they wanted to exist after. So if that meant changing it to suit their personal political views, then that was fine. They were absolutely willing to do it. So my thing is, also with that being said, and there's comments like this that I want to make sure that we go through, because for whatever reason, YouTube's algorithm is weird. You can do a video a year ago and out of nowhere, it'll start getting traction because YouTube decided that they want to show it. I have that the worst on my channel. Even my Supergirl video, which is my most popular video, commentary video on comic book stuff, that video didn't pop off until like almost a year after I did. It was like 8 to 9 months after I did it. Then all of a sudden it started appearing in people's suggestions. So yeah, it's one of those things where if they decide that they want to get it out, they'll get it out. But I did this video talking about Agatha. It's gaining traction over the last like 24 hours, talking about Agatha Harkness. And here's one of the comments that I want to make sure we go through right now, and why that's the highlight of the video, because there was a few of these. It says, "Oh yes, the ego and elitism never stops." I would have taken exception to that maybe at one point, and about one point it would have been a long time ago. Now I don't care. I don't even care. It doesn't even mean anything coming from these people, right? I did a song back in the day actually called "Elitist," and it was a song about more so the metal kind of scene. And, I did it kind of in that era where metal was starting to move less into the, it was a point in time where like rock music, including metal, was like so digestible to the public that it could have been considered mainstream, right? And then it wasn't the case anymore. And I did a song called "Elitist with Backwards." It was one of our first singles that we released. And I was talking about how you have people that are within this scene that think that everything that isn't theirs or isn't done to the degree the way they do it, it's incorrect. That's not how they use it, how they use this term. They use this term basically for anybody that has any sort of knowledgeable expectation of the work. And what it is used as a means to tell you to shut up. That's why I don't care that they call me this. It's you are exposing us, which is them, and our lack of knowledge when it comes to these characters. I don't like it. Therefore, I'm going to try to paint you in a bad light by calling you, saying that you have an ego or saying that you're an elitist. At this point, I simply don't care. It means nothing to me coming from them, because coming from them, it's just a Hail Mary. People wanting to silence you, or rather want you to look at yourself and look at you as if you're doing something negative, but I'm not. The point of that video, by the way, it was only sitting there talking about how, Agatha shows and highlights how there's no need for tokenization. Tokenization is needless, and Agatha Harkness proves it. Why? Because they take a character that none of y'all had ever heard of, aside from people that actually read the books. None of these people had never heard of them, and they made her likable, and now we have stand accounts on Twitter. That's how easy it is to create a new character or utilize a character and make them become prominent. It is not a difficult thing. They just choose not to do it. So their excuse is we need to tokenize to try to have this diversity or some other bull crap. And then again, you end up with black ass guardians, which don't make sense. That's the route, right? But calling me saying I have a big ego because I'm saying, well, this is needless and this creation proves it, means nothing, but it does show, if anything, how these people operate and these people think. See, they want free reign to just do whatever it is that they want, and they expect for every single person that they expect everybody to be a consumer to the point to where you have to digest it and like it no matter what it is. And that's not good, right? I think we're seeing that direction with Disney stuff, Star Wars, Marvel, where it's like you have to consume it. And if you don't like it, then there's something, it's nothing wrong with what they put out. It's something wrong with you. It's how they try to paint it. So, of course, you are an elitist because you have some sort of expectation because, I don't know, you've been lining pockets of Marvel since the 90s because you've been a comic book geek. And they think that you have no say in, or you should have no say on the direction that it goes in terms of what the criticism is more so what I'm talking about when I say to say. Like, you can't criticize it. You can't have that expectation. Yes, I've read mountains upon mountains of this material. Of course, I'm going to have some sort of expectation. No, I'm not. It's a different universe. I'm not trying to hear any of that crap. I'm not. So calling me or other people elitists or saying that we have big egos, which doesn't even make sense, shows you that it's just a Hail Mary. They're just using these words because they want you to shut up. But I don't care. I don't care. Just like the gatekeeping. I had people tell me that before, and there was a time where I wouldn't necessarily fought against it, but I would have took at least some sort of exception to it. Now I'm like, whatever. You call me a gatekeeper, call me elitist. It doesn't matter to me. That means absolutely nothing to me. Coming from you, it doesn't mean crap. We've sat and watched y'all run characters and books and then properties into the absolute dirt. Why should we care what you call us when we call it out? We shouldn't, and we're not. So now I'm like, hey, man, it is what it is. So there's that.